Yeah, what's up? I got a problem with the society, this U.S. society, considering my people, which is the original indigenous black people of America, and also they contribute all other so-called brown or black people in the world who come to America. They consider us people of color or colored people. And during the segregation years, Jim Crow era, from the 1890s up until right now, actually, the black people in America, before the infusion of massive amounts of immigrants from other countries, when the black people who was liberated from slavery, we was fighting against being considered colored people or other people. They had the signs on the doors: blacks only, or coloreds only, and whites only, stuff like that. So we always seen being a colored person as being a negative connotation, a negative term, a derogatory term, right? But now, every time I turn on a radio or listen to the TV, listen to the radio, go to YouTube, you got these so-called blacks and all these others, you know, races of people who's non-white. Anybody that's non-white, they actually praise being a people of color or a minority. Like, what type of human being will actually be proud to be less than another human being? That's allegedly against what the Constitution is about. Like, all people are created equal. A minority is not equal to a majority. You are less than, you have less power, less resources, less influence, less cooperation, less inclusion. You know, the minorities are not included as much as everybody, or the whites. The only non-minority is Caucasians, and Caucasians are anybody from North Africa, Europe, East Asia, or West Asia, that region, the Middle East. They're considered Caucasians, right? So you got black people that's considered Caucasians from other countries: Arabs, East Indians. Like, yo, Kamala Harris, she's on her birth certificate. I seen it was like, they've been showing it on YouTube that she's actually considered a Caucasian on her birth certificate. But in society, regardless of what you consider yourself as, it's all based on subjective aspects, meaning what a person could see. And if they see that brown skin on you, regardless of what you think in your mind, you are a minority, right? You are a colored person, meaning you have less rights, less impact, less inclusion in this government, in this society, right? And I think people shouldn't actually accept that. We shouldn't be considered minorities. We should just be considered as our citizenship. Like in every other, like, I ain't gonna say every other country, but in Nazi Germany, they actually, they followed America's path by classifying each citizen based on their demographics. The Nuremberg laws. So even though all of the people were Germans by birth, right, because they had a particular ethnic background, they were classified as that, and then German. But the classification of your ethnic background actually superseded being a German, right? So you was put in a death camp, or you was given certain penalties, or you was given certain privileges based on whatever they deemed you as, based on your demographics and your lineage. And this is the Nuremberg laws, and they put the Nazis on trial for that. But America's Nuremberg laws primarily came about after the Civil Rights Act, when they considered all these different groups of people and classified all of these different groups based on their demographics. And anybody that's not so-called white is considered a minority. And then they got the Caucasian women. They don't want to call them minorities. They call them women and minorities. So they don't want to get the minority treatment. You see what I'm saying? But me personally, I don't want to be considered a minority. I don't want to be considered a colored person. I don't want nothing to do with none of that. Nothing. Keep your resources. Keep whatever you have. And I don't think nobody should get no minority benefits, because the so-called black people descended out of slavery, who actually fought for all of these changes in this world, in this government, in America, fought in all these wars all over the world to free the world, World War II, Vietnam and whatnot. Now, we're not given priority. We're just included with all of these other minorities who just got here 2 days ago. Now, if a person got here 2 days ago and they got in front of the line to get the resources, you got to get on the back of the line. Even though you should have like seniority, precedence, you should be the one put above everybody else, regardless of who's in front of the line, But they don't do it that way. You're just blended in, You're not really an individual group. We're not an individual group. We're not black people. We're not Negroes anymore. We're just colored people. And then all the colored people of the world who come to America, they get to blend in with us, and they get to get all the resources that our ancestors paved the way for us to get. And I think that's an injustice. And I can't stand to see these black people, these so-called, you can't really tell who's who, The person, because you can look at them and say they black, but they could be from Europe, they could be from Africa, they could be from the Caribbean, South America. You just can't look at a person and know where they're from. And then we allowed ourselves to just blend in because at one point we was taught about Pan-Africanism, that we're one global African family. That's what we've been taught. But a lot of people around the world don't believe that. But they know we believe that, so they come here to deceive and to benefit from that dynamic. That these dumb Negroes in America think we all friends. We're going to get in there, get all the scholarships, get all the jobs, we're going to get all the grants, all the minority set-asides. And then we just going to finesse. And then we're going to surpass these Negroes. And then we're going to say, look at y'all lazy niggas. Why don't y'all pull yourselves up? But y'all came here and deceived us, making us believe we were all the same people. And we actually allowed these people to actually benefit from the resources that were supposed to go to our people. And a lot of so-called blacks would prefer to give these resources to a original black person out of hatred, self-hatred, or a Mexican, an illegal immigrant. Like I just listened to the radio today. Kamala Harris' Senate seat is going to be given to a Latino. So blacks did not gain. At least it could have been given to a so-called black person or a Jamaican person, or East Indian person. But you're just going to totally just give it to a whole nother dynamic because we're so brainwashed and fooled, believing that we're people of color. And I don't know where the colored country is. Where is this colored country? Show me on a map a country called color and show that we're all somehow connected to this color, This is color. What is color? You telling me Caucasians don't have color? It's ridiculous. It's just a way to isolate the resources and distribute them intentionally, to intentionally give it to whoever you want to give it to. You're going to give the resources to the Caucasian people first. And then you're going to give the resources to the non-Caucasians who actually are Caucasians, but they have brown skin, who actually have the Caucasian mindset. They're going to get all the rest of the resources. Then the crumbs that's left over, that's what's going to the black people in America. And then for some reason, because I guess we're gifted, somehow we're gifted, God blessed us with these abilities. We take the crumbs and we turn them crumbs into endless amounts of resources. Like the one who they say she actually was the forefront of developing the coronavirus vaccine was a black woman from North Carolina. Her research and development created a multi-billion-dollar industry for this vaccine. Literally, the company she worked for is Moderna. They literally made hundreds of billions of dollars in 1 year because of this one black lady. That's just one person. So black people, the original black people in America, have the ability to take nothing and turn it into something. But imagine if a lot of us had the resources that these people of color has and these Caucasians has. We'll be in a better position. We'll actually be superior. We actually are superior, but it'll be in reality. Our superiority will be undoubted. undeniable. Even though it already is undeniable, but they could still look at poverty. Okay, y'all got these ghettos, these slums. Y'all out there killing each other. Y'all doing the abortions. You get the diseases. You're unhealthy. But they seldom look at the fact that a lot of us are subjected to this government. We don't really have control over our lives. The government put people in these ghettos, these single mother ghettos. The government actually encourage unhealthy food in the black community. They encourage and perpetuate poverty and lack of resources, lack of inclusion, lack of participation in the government. So the black people are really neglected and in dire need of assistance. And none of these so-called people of color, none of these Caucasians in this government, in this country, reach out to help the black people. But these same people, when a so-called black person come up with an idea, a breakthrough, they are the first to want to capitalize and steal from the poor black people, who you didn't help, who you didn't assist. Barack Obama did not assist the black people. He assisted all these people of color, these homosexuals, these Caucasians, these corporations, right? He totally neglected the so-called black people. And now he want to build his library in the black community. We don't want Obama. We don't want his wife. We don't want his kids. We don't want nothing to do with Obama. He's a colored person, right? He's a Caucasian. He finessed us just like everybody else finessed us. And now he want to come in and smile. So we're going to forget the betrayal. We voted for him. We voted for Biden. And Biden just, slap these Negroes in the face and I'm going to do nothing for you. Thanks for voting for me. Like always, you stupid fools. I'm going to put your children in prison. I'm going to shut down your schools. I'm going to give all the illegal immigrants all of your jobs, all of your communities, all of your houses. They're going to be a bigger population than you. That's what he told these fools, right? But I'm going to say it just like this, right? The original black people in America should not accept being a person of color. We should not accept being a minority. We should not vote whatsoever. We should just accept our own government and just separate from America, separate from the U.S. government, because America is not the U.S. government, right? America always had nations. It still has like independent nations, and the land, the land will always be here. The government changes, right? But we should not participate in the United States government because this government does not participate with us. They don't assist us. They let us die. They exploit our death, our poverty, our misery. They give all of our resources, all of our, how should I say it? Innovations. They give that to everybody else. All the resources that's supposed to go to the so-called black people, the U.S. government gives that to other people at your expense, right? So I'm just looking like, okay, how a person treats you, that's how they feel, It's how, that's how you can tell how a person, if they love you, if they hate you, is how they treat you. And this is how the U.S. government has been treating the black people, right? So it's time that the black people treat them the same way. Do unto them as they do unto you. If they don't mess with you, don't mess with them. Why are you going out there voting? You're not going to get nothing voting for some Joe Biden. Democrats got you living in poverty, got you living on welfare, got you living in prison, got you dropping out of school, got you unemployed, got you worse than people in third world countries. Don't participate in the U.S. government. Don't vote. I ain't gonna say, paying taxes. They want to say but on a massive scale, we shouldn't be paying no taxes because we're not getting no participation. But they say no taxation without representation. We're not represented in this government. We got these black politicians who are basically Caucasians because in their mind state, they do what the Caucasian do. They neglect the black people. They exploit and they just deceive and they punish the black people without cause, right? got us living in misery and poverty. And now, do for self. Whatever the government don't want to do for you, do it for yourself. If the government don't want to build you decent housing, build decent housing for yourself. Get the materials, the bricks, the land, the wood, the carpenters, the masons, the plumbers, and build your own community. Build your own farms. Build your own industries, your own stores. Do it for the self and self-govern. Elect your own officials. Like this guy is criticizing somebody for saying, a plebiscite, whatever, but that actually is the foundation for all nations, right? The people has to come together and declare that they're independent, and then they must actually have a leadership. Or you got anarchies like in Somalia, it's like no leadership, but usually the people elect who they want to rule. Because these black people are participating in the U.S. government, we're actually giving them authority over us by voting. We're actually legitimizing our rulership by participating in that system. But we could also participate in our own system. People vote, have our own vote, our own leadership, our own representatives to deal with the world, the United Nations. You see what I'm saying? We need a delegation. We need emissaries. We need diplomats to go out there and negotiate for resources and trade and have a currency. Can't be dependent on U.S. government because U.S. government are pimping us to the world. We're just the prostitute. Everybody get to come here, exploit, take advantage of the resources that's supposed to go to the blacks, us, and they just looking at you like you just a fool. They just living lavishly while we living in squalor. It has to end. But the only way it's going to end is if we stop participating with it. Just like that's what Gandhi did. Non-violent resistance. Non-participation with the British. And we should not participate with the United States government. We should not participate with the local politicians, with their representatives, because they do not represent our best interest. They allow our children to be murdered. They allow our women to get these abortions. They close our schools. They condemn our houses. They tear down our houses. They condemn our buildings. They're just waging a relentless war against our people. And when they have allies, all these I'm gonna say all of them, all these people of color are assisting the U.S. government in destroying the black people, the original black people of America. They are all our enemies. They don't have our best interest because they're really coming here to replace us. They want to live in our nice infrastructure, these nice communities that America has. These cities, like every country don't have cities like this, or running water, or electricity. They don't have this infrastructure. So the whole world wants to come here, but the only way they're going to be able to do it is if they just somehow eliminate the black people, because a lot of them are brown and black people, but they want to actually be. They want to pretend that they are us.